listening to Rip and Common Sense Radio.
That's right, where we take you well into the midnight hour with our special Art Bell Archives show happening tonight and every night this weekend, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Tune in as we open up the Art Bell Archives and dive into the lost classics of a vocal treasure. We take a look at those stories and we bring them up to date and we share them with you. We ask for your input and your shout-outs, your call-ins, as we go through the most amazing stories ever told. Tune in tonight and every night as we reinvestigate the Art Bell Archives live.
The Art Bell Archive Show. 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, ripandcommonsense.com.
Rippin' Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rippin' Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy. The captain has turned on the seatbelt sign.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Art Bell Archive live show. I'm your host, AJ, the Rippin' Rabbit. Give yourselves a round of applause for being smart enough to be here. Tonight, we kick off the weekend and dive deep down into the rabbit hole in the world of secret societies. A study of organizations whose activities, events, inner functions, or even memberships are concealed from the non-members. Now, sometimes these societies may or may not attempt to conceal their existence, and that's why we can explore them tonight. Buckle up your seatbelts, folks. Put your hand over your eye and repeat after me. I'm not a secret society. That's tonight, Thursday, January 30th, 2020. I will not confirm or deny whether or not the Rippin' Rabbit Hole is involved in any secret societies, but if they were, I assure you, there would be an induction and selection process before you ever knew about it. Coming up a little later in the program, I have a guest who knows about it. I'm excited to talk about this subject tonight, but first, how was your sleep? Did anyone dream? Did anyone make it to New York City or perhaps the top of the Statue of Liberty over the course of the few days we had apart from each other? If you weren't here for Sunday night's close to the weekend last, we did an on-air collective dream experiment, and it was quite fun. You can still go back and listen to the archives and rehear the show and take part in the experiment. Basically, we tried to create a collective dream experience. So put a 1 in the chat room if you took part in that particular experiment last week. And I'd like to know just exactly what happened during your dreams. Because as I can report, I did not visit the Statue of Liberty, but I did make it to New York City. Good evening, Z Rabbit. Thank you for your 1. Moneybags 1. Stober 51 1. The Wizard Gren, good to see you. He says, haven't remembered any of my dreams since the experiment, and I'm still trying. Now, I kept a notebook next to my bed, and I really tried to focus and remember on exactly what my dreams were. But the reality was that I could not recognize when I was dreaming. Now, if you visit the Ripon Rabbit Hole, we created a group for dreams. And I've noted my own personal dreams. Like I said, I was successful in getting to New York City. And what I've found in some of the posts that have been there is that we've all kind of experienced perhaps a very similar dream in the fact that we ran into people that we had not seen in a long time. And to me, that's very interesting. So, again, if you have not done so already, please make sure that you check out this broadcast and do the experiment, because it's really remarkable. Back in 2006, Art Bell had a guest, Philip Gardner, who shared his research into secret societies, both modern and ancient, and how history, mythology, and symbolism intertwine with religious thought.
We're definitely very one of those American secret societies that you hear about from the Gilded Age.
Oh, I am in. And to our surprise, their headquarters is in downtown Tuscola. The group sounds like something out of a movie, really.
They're called the Oddfellows, and their goal is to give back to their community. WCIA 3's Jessica Coons is here.
Ripon Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio.
Okay, I don't know why that clip just went haywire, but let's try this again. That's not how it's supposed to go, folks. But you know, that's live radio. So let's listen to this clip again. Again, tonight's subject, secret societies.
We're definitely very one of those American secret societies that you hear about from the Gilded Age.
Oh, I am in. And to our surprise, their headquarters is in downtown Tuscola. The group sounds like something out of a movie, really.
They're called the Oddfellows, and their goal is to give back to their community. WCIA 3's Jessica Coons is here. Jessica, the Oddfellows have been around, it sounds like, for a long time.
Paul, they celebrate their 200th birthday in the U.S. next year, and while we're calling them a secret society, they actually do want you to know who they are because they're working to make a difference in our town, Tuscola. Up a steep staircase in downtown Tuscola, Oddfellows enter their secret meeting space.
Who goes there?
And this is where we give the password. That password gets you into this cavernous room. Ainsley Heilich and his business partner bought the building 7 years ago, and when they walked into this space, they didn't know what to think. Then they found out it used to house an Oddfellows Lodge dating all the way back to 1865.
We found all this great old regalia that was just hidden up in the crawl space, almost like national treasure. It's like you start down a path of little breadcrumbs, and it just kind of ropes you in further and further, and here we are.
Wouldn't that be great to find some sort of a mysterious location that contains all of these national treasures, so to speak? That really would be exciting. And my guest tonight has done just that, as you're going to find out. But I want you to take a listen as we explore the rabbit hole of deep and dark secret societies. We're going to connect some dots tonight. We're going to show you just how important the Ripon Rabbit Hole is. Good evening, my life, HC333. Yes, that would be awesome. Moneybag73, welcome. I'm so glad that you're feeling up and better to participate in tonight's broadcast. I know you've been not feeling well, so I'm glad to have you here, of course. Big stuff coming towards the end of this weekend on Sunday night. So let's look at where these secret societies laid groundworks for their connections to the Ripon Rabbit Hole. Take a close listen.
Secret societies are a great source for conspiracy theories and Hollywood blockbusters. Legends add to the mystique. One thing is certain, a secret society is about elevating members above others, us versus them. In the Ivy League, secret societies are the elite among the elite, and members often become world leaders. I sat down with one man who is telling his story, and he's not your typical Ivy League secret society member. Shadow societies have existed for centuries. At one time, Christianity was a secret society to avoid Roman persecution.
Now, how about that? Secret society Christianity to avoid Roman persecution. That's pretty heavy. And when you think about your beliefs being under attack by those that oppose your beliefs, and you think about having to go underground, so to speak, as we'll hear more about, you really do understand that to avoid persecution, to avoid ridicule, that in these types of times, secret societies are absolutely necessary.
Founding fathers like Washington and Franklin were Freemasons. The Mafia is a secret society.
I know, Dark Wolf. Thank you. I know. I for some reason I've changed it to secret societies, but it hasn't appeared live yet. I'll edit it in the rebroadcast, but I do understand that it's not properly saying secret societies, and it's doing last Sunday's show, Lucid Dreams. So I do understand that, but let's not let that distract us from the information about to be bestowed upon us.
Our membership has its pleasures, its hardships, and sometimes its pain.
There are many reasons to join, but at the core is status, favoritism, and power.
A toast to the successful progression of skulls above any other. Above any other.
The movie The Skulls captured the imagination of one of these secret societies, Skull and Bones at Yale University. The film hit the box office in 2000 as a Skull and Bones member was running for office, George W. Bush. Other members included his father and grandfather, as well as Senator John Kerry. Skull and Bones was started in 1832 when people were starting to become suspicious of organizations like the Freemasons. So two men decided to make their college fraternity a secret society. Alphonso Taft, father of President Howard Taft, and a merchant named William Huntington Russell, who made his fortune transporting opium. For centuries, secret societies like these were for white men, primarily from established and wealthy families.
Now, I want you to pay special attention to William Huntington Russell. We're going to speak more about him and the secret society that he helped to evolve coming up in the program. But put a 1 in the chat room if you are a member of a secret society, if you've ever taken an oath and you've gone through the rituals and you are a member of a secret society, put a 1 in the chat room. Skull and Bones sold at auction January 2010, says Stober. interesting. Thank you, Dark Wolfsten. I am aware. I have no idea why it's not refreshing. Zero coming in from Dark Wolfsten. He is not a member of a secret society. And perhaps you don't even know that you are. That could be a possibility too. Now, I have to be careful tonight because my Mac mouse says it's low on battery. So I'm going to try to get through the show without it actually running out of juice. Z Rabbit with a 1 in the chat room. Perhaps part of a secret society that I know nothing about. Secret societies are all around us, have been for a long time. As we're going to find out tonight, some are more public than others, some hiding deep down in the depths, like the Skull and Bones, which we're definitely going to get to, and then some more public and more visible. My Life HCC, the first thing about Fight Club is don't say you're in Fight Club. That's so true. If you're in a secret society, you don't want to announce to the world that you're there. In fact, you may have even taken an oath that prevents you from doing so for life. My guest this evening is a local businessman in Ripon, Wisconsin, who acquired the local Odd Fellows Lodge. And his story that he's about to tell and the things that he discovered along this many years of study makes him an expert on the subject of the secret society, the Odd Fellows. So please welcome to the program by putting a 1 in the chat room, a warm welcome to Wild Bill Hutton. Hi, Bill. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. What you got now?
Now
I'm good. I'm up and running.
You're all up and running.
Wonderful.
You're doing good, huh? You're always wonderful. It's always a pleasure to speak with you, and thanks for taking time to speak with us about this fun topic of secret societies. More important, the Independent Order of Odd Fellows. You know a little something about that, I guess, huh?
I do. Primarily, when I bought the building, a lot of artifact was left with the building. So curiosity, I would research to try to understand a little bit more about their operation.
Now, they were a secret society, but they weren't very secret, were they? Because they were, very well known when they first came out.
Well, they were very well known per se in the community. They were basically the good people of the city. They were the leaders, the bankers, the pharmacists, the little bit up to do better people of the community. And of course, anybody knows anything about Oddfellows, they have the three mottos that they go by. And back in the old days, when it was beginning, it was put together to really help the community in a number of different ways.
Now, we've recently heard of a resurgence in the Odd Fellows, especially in the Midwest, where the millennials seem to be drawn to the character of the Order of Odd Fellows, and the lodges that are now, in some cases, over 200 years old, are being revived. They're being brought back to life today.
Well, what happened in the resurgence, and I'm not sure how it happened. If somebody was recruiting, or if just some younger people took an interest and figured out a way to keep it afloat. But what happened here in Ripon and a lot of the lodges in this area was the older people that were in control of it, and actually the last members of it, refused for quite many years to not take on any new membership. for whatever reason, I don't know. But due to the lack of membership would also reduce the lack of funds to operate and continue going. And that's what happened here in Ripon. Out of the 8 gentlemen that were last running the show, they literally ran out of money.
Now, you actually have owned and purchased a Oddfellows Lodge in the heart of Ripon, Wisconsin.
Now, what's interesting about it, when I sold my building, I did have numerous amounts of paper work left behind, and I contacted a company, actually an organization, Oddfellows organization in Wisconsin here, to see if they would like to have some of the stuff that I had to offer to them. And they did agree and came to look at what I had. And within a small amount of time in a meeting with them, I realized that I was done talking with the gentleman, because he immediately told me that he could seize anything that he wanted, including the building.
What?
Because everything that belongs to the Oddfellows belongs to all the Oddfellows in the world.
So there's a hierarchy structure that exists that commandeers?
Evidently. And basically, I told him that he hurt my feelings when I thought I was doing something right by it, that he could simply either take what I had laid on the table and leave with it, and get out of my building. Right now, its title is in my name, and he's not welcome there. And so they didn't even take what I offered and left.
If you had been an odd fellow, and you were able to identify with him, say, through a secret password or a handshake of some sort that said to him, by the way, I'm an odd fellow too, would that have made any difference? Or I guess it's, awkward to me to think that somebody would come at you in that way. Perhaps it was a test to see if you were, in fact, a member of the secret society or not.
I think what it came down to was they were not aware of the closing of this lodge. And every lodge had a number, and I think ours is 105, and once again, I could be wrong. It might be 1005. I'd have to look at paperwork. But at any rate, they were not informed of such. And on top of that, he was appalled at the fact that they sold off memorabilia at the auction of Oddfellow things. And I ended up obviously buying the chairs, costumes, Heart in the Hand, numerous items of the Oddfellows.
Now, the Heart in the Hand is a popular symbolism of this particular organization, including the all-seeing eye is part of their symbolism, is it not?
Absolutely. The Heart in the Hand is almost the top dog. I thought the uniforms were just outrageous, and then they were cool and different, wild. And then I found a book, a large, actually, clothing book from a company out of Chicago that actually a business to sell this type of product to Oddfellow lodges.
Now, what kind of costumes were they?
everything.
You say that they're strange, and I want to come back to the hand and the heart again. But first, as you explain, these bizarre costumes, give us a little taste of what these costumes were.
They were very well built, material lined inside. Outside, they were a lot like, not quite a velvet, very close to velvet, better than felt material, very decorative, very long, very heavy,
elaborate. They sound elaborate,
and they all had matching leggings. They had pants that you slipped on over your clothing. So they had leggings, they had pants, they had a coat, They had a hat, and every degree of the Odd Fellows would indicate what you wore. And in this book that I have, it actually, you could order what degree that you were going to wear and who you were going to be representing in their meetings. So per se, I was lower on the line. Your coating wasn't as decorative as you got higher up. So it was plain, beautiful buttons and a belt, or maybe just a rope around the waist. And there actually were white ones with just white ropes. So I have a feeling that's when you started, and then you worked your way up from there to different levels. And the chairs, the grand cupola, as he is called, sat in the very middle, and then there were 4 chairs, 2 to each side of him, that were part of his throne. And that, to my knowledge, was the standard of probably most all of them. Unless you were in a bigger city and there were more members of his entourage, whatever you would call it.
Now, how many levels were there?
I'm not totally sure. I really would. I would hate to say there were 13 or 14, but
now you actually came across. Let's explain how. Tell us the story of how you found this piece of equipment.
Well, when I bought the building, I bought as is, and I was getting a building. Just to throw a little humor in it, my wife at the time was a dance instructor, and she did not want to dance in basement of churches where it's linoleum and cement floors. It's not good for your legs and feet. And the Oddfellows had wood floors, so it would have been a perfect place for that. But at any rate, the buying it, I actually looked at it on a half a day, the day before the auction, and my consideration was harvest tables and about 200 chairs.
So you're just looking at this as like basic furniture, and you're like, this is part of a secret society, and I want to dive into this purchase. I want to get the whole thing, but I just want to come across as I'm interested in, random furniture.
That's what I was going after. And as the auction proceeded, there was very few people there. Then the auctioneer said, well, now we'll try to sell, we'll open up bids for selling the building. And unfortunately for me at that time, cell phones were out. I could not call my wife. And I just thought, well, hey, I got to roll with it. So I started bidding on it. At first, they couldn't get $5,000. So then they started out, I think, at $2,000, and went up to maybe $6,000, and then it paused, and they couldn't get any more. And then I ended up in a bidding war with one other guy. Ended up getting it for $14,000. So fast forward that 2 days later, we go into the building, and the downstairs was the main meeting hall, and then the upstairs was the evening or the non-formal meeting room up above, and that area up there had one room that was designated for clothing, for all the costumes that they actually wore.
Wow.
And so they had many window boxes all the way around the walls. Well, upon investigating through the window boxes, we started to uncover all the artifacts, all the parts, and all the stuff from the Oddfellows that they had left, including a real human skeleton that really throws a little catch into everything when you buy a property and it's got a human skeleton. It's a little bit alarming to think, okay, now what do I do with this? Is it for real? Is it real?
Was it real?
Who do you ask? Do you call a coroner? Do you call the chief of police? Or do you simply run online and sell it?
Was it real?
Well, it was real, and they had them. Almost all of them, all the lodges had them. It was part of a initiation as you go through the levels of. They use it. It hangs on a rack, so it's hanging up, standing position. Horizontally or vertically, and they use it in reference to it being a solid, after you're gone, there's still solid parts of you still here. So when you die and decompose, you're not all gone. This is still here. I don't know what the meaning of it is. As far as the background to the Oddfellows, it goes way back. And they used a front, as far as I could tell, where they would feed the poor, bury the dead, and heal the sick. And they have the three rings combined, and that's what that was all about, the three things. I think they also did a number of other things, but, who knows?
Much more secretive, much more on the inside.
They're extremely secretive. And like I said, they also, one of the most strangest, well, there's a lot of strange. When you look at the costumes and you see the levels and the degrees, it's very strange.
I agree. It's very, very strange. And if you have a question for Wild Bill Hutton, go ahead and put it in the chat room now. Bill, do you have evidence that these types of secret societies still exist in Ripon today?
About once every 6 months, there's a picture of a group of guys here in Ripon, all of whom I know, and someone just got a degree in the Masons. And so they've got their little sheaths on, and they've got their little, and they're getting a degree plaque in the Masons. So that's, once again, to me, is almost like the Oddfellows. That's kind of a secret society. And what do? I don't really know. And it's never women; it's only men. Same way with the Oddfellows. What happened to the Oddfellows was they all got stingy about letting new people into their society. And I don't know if they were paranoid and non-trustworthy at that point, but they were losing money. So in order to keep them afloat, some women got together and said that they would form an organization, and of which they did. And their organization started to do pie sales, bakery sales, ice cream socials, and dances, and things like that. And that supported the Oddfellows. And I have banners, I have all sorts of things that they had left in the window boxes from a lot of that. Plus some of the women that I knew that were members of that organization, Gladys Risco being one, told me about a lot of the things that went on. And they named it the Rebeccas.
The
and
Rebeccas.
That is the name that they gave their organization.
The Ripon Rebeccas?
Yeah, Rebeccas. And they're the ones that actually helped support that organization.
So they had the women baking the pies to support the Good Old Boy Network.
Good old boy having fun. And a closed environment. Now what they did, they also had they were very familiarly known to have Black Box, which was a small black box with a little wooden handle on it with marbles. And the marbles were black and white. And so when you went to, someone wanted to join and you brought them in, if they did not like you and they voted with the marbles, where the term blackball comes from, I believe, if not maybe some other way too, but if you were blackballed with the marbles, you could not join.
Interesting.
They voted on it.
So
now, every door has a secret passage swing to it. There's a cutout in the door and a piece of wood screwed onto it, and you swing it open to look to see who is coming in. If they're not members, you can't come in.
Was there a password needed to be able to access?
I don't know that. I forgot to ask Gladys that. I don't know that. By the time Gladys, I interviewed her in her 90s, her structurally mind was, some things she could remember, some things she may not.
Absolutely unbelievable. Billy, hold on. We have to take a break. We're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to come back with Wild Bill Hutton and perhaps the secrets that Gladys held. You're listening to Ripon Common Sense Radio. Tonight, Secret Societies on the Ripon Rabbit Hole. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after this quick break. Are you enjoying the program so far? If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Rippin' Rabbit Hole is not just existent on YouTube. You can find us over at rippinrabbithole.com, where you can sign up for our mailing list. We'll be sending out the live schedules every Thursday morning for you, as we do these every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings. Wild topics that we bring out of dust and up to date here on the Art Bell Archive live show. Of course, tonight, Secret Societies, no exception. We'll be back to that in just a moment, but just a quick reminder of what's coming up this week. We have a tremendous lineup tomorrow, continuing on where we left off in a part 2 of Secret Society's palate cleanser. We're going to bring you the very, very interesting subject, or rabbit hole, if you will, of public disclosure. That's right. We're going to take a look at all things declassified. That's tomorrow night, Friday, January 31st. Then Saturday night, we'll be here for Life After Death. That's Saturday, February 1st, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. We return for Mandela Monthly, February 2nd, with special guest Cynthia Sue Larson. She's a best-selling author and researcher. Of course, Moneybag 73 will be here. We're going to talk about all types of reality shifting. That's Sunday, February 2nd, 2020, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. If you have not gotten on our mailing list or visit us over at Rippin' Rabbit Hole, please do so. We have a wonderful community over there. We have an interactive chat lounge that's open 24/7. Just look backstage. And we have our rabbit holes, which deal with this subject as well as many other subjects that we cover right here every weekend, and the very best in paranormal radio. The Mandela Effect Conference news and update official home. Stay tuned. We'll be right back to the program in just a few moments.
The Spaniard who had left his wife behind.
Secret Societies coming up in the rest of tonight. My guest this evening is truly remarkable. Wild Bill Hutton inherited or purchased a big building full of secrets. What would you do if you bought a secret society lounge? We'll be back to Wild Bill in just a moment. Thanks to all of you sharing along tonight's ride on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole chat. Moneybag 73, Earth Daughter, Dark Wolf's Den, Z-Rabbit, The Wizard Gren, Stober 51. Good to see all of you tonight. I know that we have questions for Wild Bill. Bill, do you still have any Odd Fellows artifacts? We'll be asking and hearing your response to that. Bill, how many people in that area were members? Now, we have to look at the area. And, of course, Bill being a representative and resident of Ripon, Wisconsin, makes this rabbit hole so much more unique. And I do say, you missed the beginning of the program, Earth Daughter, because we got off to a rough start tonight. But so far, I don't think anyone has actually made it to the top of the Statue of Liberty. Now, I made it to New York. And I am going to report on my mud fossil walk this most recent Tuesday. Tomorrow night, I'm going to talk about that because I have a lot to share. But unfortunate to report that we have not made it in our dreams. So therefore, the collective dream experiment has to progress to the next level. Wave 2 coming up. Stay tuned for that. Like I said, so many really exciting things coming up here in the rabbit hole future. And of course, how these rabbit holes all connect with each other. And if you're going to be here Sunday night for the Cynthia Sue Larson show, which I'm certain you will not, how do you say this to properly program? You will remember. I don't want to say you'll forget. Don't forget. Don't forget is a double negative. So when you want somebody to remember something, it's very important to say, remember. Remember Sunday evening with Moneybag 73 and Cynthia Sue Larson. It's going to be a wild evening of the Mandela effect. Of course, your calls on the wild card line, it will be open. We will be accepting calls for the remainder of that evening. Back now to our guest and the wild tale of secret societies. Again, remember Moneybag 73. That's correct. Remember all that you can. So back with Bill, Wild Bill, in his, if you're just joining us, my guest tonight is a resident of Ripon, Wisconsin. He purchased, back in the mid-'80s, a building that he later learned was the Odd Fellows Hall, a secret society that started in the 1820s and made its way all the way to Ripon. And Bill, you have such fascinating tales. You really do.
Now, I always knew and had heard that there's a secret.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And so when I finally, after days of a few, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes at a time interviewing Gladys, finally one day I thought maybe I could break her and get it.
Now, Gladys is the woman that shared with you the information about the Ripon Rebeccas and how the females kind of financially held together the organization. And now she's going to reveal a secret to you?
And all she said to me as she looked around, and her silence was, the secret is, Billy, there's no secret.
There's no secret, and that's perhaps one of the greatest secrets ever.
Isn't it? I didn't know if you ever knew that or not. It just blew me away.
That's fantastic.
And then she said nothing else, and it was like, oh, my God, I have a secret. And guess what? There is no freaking secret.
Unbelievable.
I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
Well, maybe that's something maybe it's something
simple
to run with. It's way too simple. Now, it's interesting. Go ahead.
Or is that what you're taught to tell?
Ooh. Perhaps she was throwing.
See, there's got to be more to it than that. That was too easy. Although it took me quite a while of prying. And you're supposed to, I guess, when you sign on to it, you take it to your death.
So you never, you never tell anyone.
Transparency in social media, I don't think you'd ever get away with this ever. But maybe then it was a different world.
I'm sure it was when you are bringing the inductees into the group and you're put before costumed characters who are all casting a marble into a box on your fate. Mm-hmm. That's, some heavy stuff.
Not to mention the costumes are out of this world. And it's so elaborate, crazy that in Ripon, Wisconsin, you go into the room and this is what you see. And then there were probably many members dressed in a white cloak, almost like a KKK, that are sitting there as well because they haven't reached the ranks of cool costumes yet.
Wow. And when you look at the
and then
symbolism...
one of the costumes I had is a screen. What's funny, I wore it for Halloween one time. It's a screen face with a black beard. And it looks like me. But when I put it on, it's just me. But it's the screen is made in the shape of a face. There's little slits for your eyes, or just horizontal slits, and then there's a big old black beard that hangs off of it. And that was, I don't know where he fit. I don't know where that character fit into to anything, but that was also. And in the book that I have, it shows all the clothing, all the stuff that you could order, the staffs, the rods, all of that, all plays a big part of it. The one long staff with the snake spiral around it, and almost everybody that is of notoriety has a staff of some sort. You know, a nice long pole with an ornament. Some are just arrows. Some are just an arrow on the top of the ball. And then some of the other ones were a little bit more elaborate with the snake.
It sounds
So
like something straight out of a movie.
Well, it certainly could have. You know, what's crazy about it, where did it originate? You know, it's not. They're not only in the United States. In fact, there are areas in Australia, different countries, where they're still thriving just like in the past. It's just in the United States it took a big decline.
It's amazing.
And I don't know.
It's amazing to me that this was, this was a big deal back in the 1800s to be a part of.
Oh, it was huge. Big deal. Big deal. They were prosperous. I have record books of their money that they left behind. They left everything basically, and I have much of that. I have a wonderful letter in one of the books that references to the staircase that's on the back from a company in Oshkosh that installed it, that when they finished the job and left, they took the Oddfellows rope that they must have used to guide it in while they hooked it up onto the back, and they would like to have the rope back. That's one thing. One of the other letters that I opened up, that was when I went through a bunch of it, was a Grand Poopla from another lodge sent them a letter kind of spanking them because there were rumors of beer drinking and cigar smoking at meetings. And in that same time frame, I found slips from a grocery store in town of boxes of cigars and cases of beer.
So they were breaking the lodge rules.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, I have proof. I have receipts from Radlaw's grocery store of boxes of cigars and cases of beer.
At the same point in time that this...
And that was that was supposed to be against, the rules.
But when you talk about there's a front, when you speak about, being a secret society that's very upfront, very public, and what was the creed again? You said that it was, what was their motto?
Well, they, let's see, feed the poor, heal the sick, and bury the dead.
So when you have a general humanitarian front built up like that, it's easy to think that behind a closed door with, entrance only for the elite, that these types of nefarious activities could be taking place in that time frame.
Absolutely. And then you're sworn in to silence. I'm sure when you leave the building, it's just like Vegas, it stays there. What happens in the Oddfellows building stays in the Oddfellows building.
What happens in the Oddfellows building stays in the Oddfellows building. Wild Bill Hutton, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. We're going to have him back again and drink the beer and follow in true secret society support. This is not where the rabbit hole ends on this subject regarding Ripon, Wisconsin. This, if you will, is a palate cleanser to the information that we're going to share and bestow upon you, because all of these rabbit holes seem to line up in some way. They all seem to be connected. And we're going to have more on this subject in upcoming weeks. A big top hats off to Wild Bill Hutton for joining us this evening. Again, if a secret society as public and as open as the Oddfellows can exist, what could we learn down the Ripon rabbit hole when it comes to much more severe secret societies like the Skull and Bones? Have you heard of that one? Put a 1 in the chat room if you've heard of the Skull and Bones, because we're going to tell you about an offshoot, the militant branch of the Skull and Bones, a very little known secret society known as the Skull and Swords. Instead of the traditional iconic symbols that we know to be true for the Skull and Bones, equally chilling and mysterious is the incredible Skull and Swords. Dark Wolf's Den, thanks for hanging out. Moneybags 73, I hope you're feeling better. Can't wait for Sunday night's show with Cynthia Sularthan. Earth Daughter, wonderful to see you again. Z-Rabbit. Now this, Z-Rabbit, this topic hits a little close to home. You being a Ripon resident and understanding men like Wild Bill Hutton and what he speaks of tonight, and the importance of the rabbit hole that dives deep through Ripon. I know you do. Stober 51, is any of this why you left Ripon, AJ? You're going to have to stay tuned, Stober 51, because that is a question beyond rabbit holes, one that I can't answer in one episode. Stay tuned, that's for sure. Prescott Bush, Skull and Bones, George Bush, of course. But wait till you hear the information we have to reveal about the Skull and Sword, started and founded by the very same man, William Huntington Russell. We're going to tell you all about his connections to Ripon, Wisconsin, to the Oddfellows Hall, and the strange secret societies that exist, not just in Ripon, but around the world. This stuff is fascinating, and if you haven't done so already, make sure you get on our mailing list. We're going to keep you up to date. Remember, this is just the beginning of our weekend, folks. It's just Thursday. The Secret Societies episode is going to continue on. We're going to do this in multiple parts as time goes on. You want to make sure that you stay in tune. So join that mailing list. Participate over at theriponrabbithole.com. It's a fun time, a great community, getting its seeds planted and off the ground. I'm going to be there after the show ends this evening in the Backstage Lounge. It'll take me just a few minutes before I can be there after the end of the show. And perhaps you may wish to continue this discussion. As for many of you, the conversation will end here. But for the Ripon Rabbits, it just begins. We did it. We spent another Thursday night together. Give yourselves a round of applause. Keep in mind, we'll be back here tomorrow night for Public Disclosure, where we're going to take this rabbit hole discussion even deeper. That's tomorrow, Friday, January 31st, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Then join us Saturday night for Life After Death. And then Sunday, February 2nd, that's a Mandela effect. Join us for Mandela Monthly with special guest Cynthia Sue Larson and regular Moneybag 73. We're going to be interviewing Cynthia, who is a best-selling author and researcher of the Mandela effect. We're going to open up the calls for your calls, and we'll be here to discuss all things Mandela related. If the secrets allow, as we know, secret societies are very real. We're going to follow up on this story. We're going to do it again, so make sure you get on our mailing list over at rippandrabbithole.com. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And make sure that you ring that bell for the Art Bell Archive live show happening every Thursday through Sunday, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. We give a lot of gratitude for you for paying attention tonight, and we hope to hook up with you again this weekend. Perhaps tomorrow night. So wherever you are, good morning, good evening, or good day, whatever the case may be. I'm AJ, the Rippin' Rabbit. Until we meet again, take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
Once there was an old man living in an old house down by the lake. Rumor says the man was hunting for rabbits just for fun. Since the day the rabbits disappeared for a while, then came back and cast a spell over the old man. So he looks like a rabbit too now.
You're listening to Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
That's right, where we take you well into the midnight hour with our special Art Bell Archives show happening tonight and every night this weekend, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Tune in as we open up the Art Bell Archives and dive into the lost classics of a vocal treasure. We take a look at those stories and we bring them up to date and we share them with you. We ask for your input and your shout-outs, your call-ins, as we go through the most amazing stories ever told. Tune in tonight and every night as we reinvestigate the Art Bell Archives live.
The Art Bell Archive Show. 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, ripandcommonsense.com.
Over storm.